This episode of The Therapy Show is sponsored by Therapy Notes. Why not find out what more than 100,000 mental health professionals already know and try Therapy Notes for 2 months absolutely free? Just click on the link in the show notes or enter promo code LISA at therapynotes.com. Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. In today's episode, we dive into the transformative power of content creation in the digital realm. Guiding us on this exploration is none other than the accomplished Rebekah Hudson. And with a rich background in corporate America, Rebekah pivoted to become a trailblazer in SEO copywriting, specifically catering to the mental health and wellness sector. And today, she's going to enlighten us on the imperative of crafting content for our websites and offer invaluable insights on mastering this art. So we're excited to have you join us on this enlightening journey. But before we hear from Rebekah, are you looking for continuing education contact hours? Do you want to learn while you're on the move? If so, don't miss out on my pod courses. And for a limited time, you can grab 15 NBCC approved contact hours for just $30. And you can explore the offerings over at lisamustard.com/podcourses. And if you buy the pod course bundle today, you can enjoy future pod courses added to your bundle at zero extra charge. That's right. So act fast as the bundle price is set to rise soon. And I'm in the process of crafting an ethics pod course set to launch this fall. So hurry up and seize this opportunity. So if you're curious about pod courses, imagine a podcast blended with a self-study course. You can listen at your convenience, and when you're set, take the brief quiz, finish the pod course assessment, and claim your certificate. Be sure to head over to lisamustard.com/podcourses to purchase the pod course bundle today. So, hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am excited to be in your earbuds this week with my guest, Rebekah Hudson. Welcome to the show. It is so awesome to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, well, will you share with our listeners who you are, what you do, and how you help therapists?
Absolutely. So my calling in life is to write about things that matter for people that matter. And if I can't do that, then my second goal is to inspire people to do that for themselves. So I'm here to talk about good content and to basically convey that good content can establish really meaningful personal connections that go far beyond the internet. So taking your website to that next step to make that personal connection and ultimately get people the help that you as a therapist have to offer. You as a therapist, as a coach, people want to find you as much as you want to find them. And I think good content can do that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited for our conversation. I know we're going to be talking about why we need good content, and you're going to give us some pro tips on that, and how to create better content. And I know a lot of therapists, kind of struggle with the content creation for their websites because it's like one more thing that we have to do to, market ourselves. And we're not taught these things in grad school. I'm sure you've heard this a million times. We're taught how to do therapy. We're taught about mental health, emotional wellness, how to help people. But we're not really taught about marketing ourselves. So can you tell us like a little bit more about your background? How did you decide on this niche? And what is there something special about our field that is you're drawn to?
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking it. So, marketing and psychology, like the work of a therapist and the work of a marketer, like we're BFFs because marketing is all about psychology. In the world of corporate America, marketing is basically, hey, potential customers, world, everybody, here is something that's awesome. And here's how we want you to think about it. And here's how we want you to use it. Here's why you think that's a great idea. So honestly, the world between marketing and psychology, like they're so closely intertwined. I considered psychology when I was in high school, thinking like, oh, what do you want to study in college? But honestly, I leaned more towards marketing because my passion was to write. And I didn't know if being a therapist or a psychologist, I didn't know if going that career route would allow me the opportunity to write. And like, I am a compulsive writer and I need to write. So I went the marketing route. And then after 6 years in corporate America, honestly, the wake of COVID-19, I was working on an HR team and we had to do a bunch of stuff for mental health and employees with the mental health needs that were really burgeoning during COVID-19. So that got me on the track of really focusing marketing and writing efforts towards the mental health industry. At which point I realized, oh my gosh, like I can do this. I can quit my job and just go rogue and freelance write. Like there's a whole world and a niche for this, and I can help in this area. So that's what I did. And I've been writing web content for therapists, coaches, and people within the mental health community for the last 2 years. And that's, I think that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to share that the way you and I discovered each other was through our mutual connection, Michelle Rigg. And you've done some I know she looks to you for inspiration and for help. So I'm blown away by what you've helped her create. It's pretty fabulous. I don't know if she wants us to go into detail on that, so I won't share too much. but but I know with what Michelle's doing, her website's blowing up. Like it is, she shared with me like how many hits she gets, and she's like, it's all because of, my copy and my content.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, so
Well,
I'm
that
I'm
makes me want to cry,
yeah,
but honestly, I have to give credit where credit is due. It's all Michelle. So a good writer will write for the person that's requesting them to write. So Michelle's the one with the ideas. She's the brain. She's the direction. She's the strategy. I'm flattered from the credit, and I'm so happy. I love it when my writing does what it was intended to do. Right.
yeah,
That's the goal of every writer. So I'm thrilled, but honestly, Michelle is a mastermind. She is a unique, rare, just I have no words.
yeah.
That's all her. She told me what to write, and I studied her vibe and tried to capture her vibe with her topic. And if it's successful, that's why. It's because she is awesome, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, which is shining a light on that awesomeness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really hoping she's going to come on the podcast at some point. Been like almost harassing her to come on. So we'll see. We'll see. You guys stay tuned for an episode with Michelle. And if she's listening, she's probably like, oh gosh, right now. All right. Well, let's talk about how you do that, because I think this is so fabulous, you guys. Like when I reached out to Michelle and said, well, who can help me? She goes, I have just the person for you. So, because I've been thinking, how do I up the content on my website? And, so share with us, like, why is it important for us to have good copy, good content on our websites?
Absolutely. So I want to very quickly start at the beginning. The idea of having good content and web content and like all this content stuff, it only exists because websites exist. So we need to very quickly give a sentence or two about that. The first website went live in 1991. So we're still like, this is honestly, in the grand scheme of things, the idea of having a website and using a website to market your goods or services, like that's still fairly new in this generation. But it really wasn't until the early 2000s that websites started catching on. And by the early 2000s, if you did not have a website, like you weren't seen as credible. So the initial purpose of a website was to establish credibility, present yourself professionally and prestigiously. And if you didn't have a simple website, it was kind of like, you may not be legitimate. I don't know if I trust you. So now everyone has a website, and we don't really need to, I think, we don't need to argue the need for a website.
Right.
Now what we need to argue is it's just not enough anymore. The market has changed. Everyone has a website. If you're a student in college, you have a website. I know many students who are in college currently, and they're like, oh yeah, I make websites on the side as a side hustle. Like, so there's millions of websites. And if you want to be competitive, you need to use your website properly, because that website, it's your first impression. If you think about, as a therapist, if you're trying to attract clients and customers, chances are you're not going door to door knocking on people's houses. No, they're probably on their phone crying at midnight looking for help and they find your website. So
Right.
the first impression you as a therapist or as a coach make, like the first interaction your future clients have with you,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be with your website. And if they don't find helpful, informative, healing, inspirational content there, That's a very sad first impression. So I would say it's not enough to have a website anymore. Now you need to have a good website. And the way to have a good website is to provide valuable content.
Okay. Okay. So can't just have a website, must provide valuable content. So how do we know what content we should have on our website when it comes to, I mean, I have an idea, but if someone is out there listening right now going, I don't even know where to start with that, what do you recommend?
I mean, always, oh gosh, there's so much I could say, but first and foremost, don't do anything without considering your target audience.
Okay.
So the whole point, the main goal of having quality content on your website. And maybe we should quickly identify what quality content is. When I talk about quality content, I don't just mean having a blog. I mean, yes, we'll get into that. That is very beneficial for a myriad of reasons, namely SEO. It's also a great way to earn client trust. But I'm talking about like your bio. When I'm talking about good web content, I mean your bio, the way you're talking about yourself, your services. So if you're a marriage counselor and you have a website and you provide marriage counseling services, like you should talk about that for at least 300 to 400 words about what marriage counseling as a service looks like with you. So when I talk about good content, I'm specifically talking about bios, service descriptions, about sections, and yes, your blog. That's important too. I feel like people look at their websites as a resume or an opportunity for them to be in a spotlight. And it is, but that needs to be the soft sell. The hard seller, the hero message needs to be about your target audience. When you consider good content from a website owner or a private practice owner perspective, you really want to think, how do I focus my content on my target audience?
Okay.
And then relate the value that I offer to them. That's how you shine. You don't necessarily say, oh, here's all my credentials. Like, you don't want to just, if your website is just your resume,
Mm.
that's really, really sad. And I'll just be really honest. So I have participated in therapy off and on over the years as seasons of life have evolved. And when I look for a therapist, oh my gosh, I found this one therapist. I don't even remember this person's name, but they had a very nice website and they had all their credentials listed. And I was like, well, that's good. You know, I want someone who's certified and credentialed and qualified. But I felt like this person was just so pristine and well qualified that it seemed like I feel like I'd have to sit up very straight in their office. And I really didn't want to do that. So I literally chose a therapist who had less qualifications, less experience simply because she seemed more friendly. She seemed
Right.
like me. And I think that's a really good point. People, especially within the mental health industry, they want someone that they feel safe with
Mm.
and good quality can convey that authentic trust that is so necessary. If your prospective client doesn't trust you, if you don't in some way present yourself through your website as someone who gets it, who understands, who wants to be their friend, like prospective clients will choose you as a person before they choose you for all of what you have. They choose who you are and not what you have, if that makes sense.
Oh, makes complete sense. And I know what you mean. Like you get a feeling when you look at somebody's website, like you said, it made you want to sit up really straight and it brought up something in you that reminded you of something. So I really think that's such a good reminder, what are we putting out there? How authentic are we being? You know, it's one thing to have a website that lists all your professional certifications and all your degrees and all your publications if you're trying to get tenure at a university. But if you are trying to attract your ideal customer, not so much. Okay, that's really, really a great tip. Okay, so let's talk about SEO. And I think that we hear the words or the acronym, is that what you call it? SEO acronym.
Yeah.
And we break out in hives because we feel like it's something that it's overwhelming, I think, because it's like I said, it's one more thing we have to figure out and one more thing we have to learn. So what is it and why is it important for our websites?
For sure. So, if the first most important reason why therapists and counselors and coaches need to create valuable content, if the first reason is to build trust and establish credibility, the second reason is absolutely because of SEO. That's the second most important reason. So, when SEO stands for search engine optimization, and basically it has to do with how Google ranks you. So, for example, I live in Dallas, Texas. If I go to google.com and I search Dallas therapist anxiety. Who's going to pop up? If you are a therapist in Dallas and you specialize in anxiety counseling, you want your website or your information, your profile to show up on the first or second page, right? So SEO is basically how you get there. It's run by the Google algorithm, which is a very complex code that basically is the functionality that crawls all the websites, sees, okay, any new content, any updated content. And if they find new and updated content that is relevant to the search term that was used in the query, they will pull that information and put it on the first page for that person to see. So whoever has the most relevant, updated, new, the most complete, thorough information, Google's goal is to present people who are using Google with the most relevant information. So if you have a website that's basically static, which that means you haven't updated the content on your website in several months, your website is pretty low down. The Google crawlers, which is part of the code that searches all the websites and finds relevant answers for queries, they basically don't really know that you exist. So if you're constantly that's why a blog is so important, because it's a way to routinely, consistently post relevant content within a certain niche topic. So if someone is searching for information within that niche topic, your website is constantly telling Google that, hey, I'm constantly providing thorough, important, relevant information on this topic. So the little Google bots find you, they index your page, and they think, okay, that's a helpful page. So you are helping Google provide Google searchers with an answer. So Google knows you exist. If you're not routinely posting good quality, keyword-rich content, Google basically forgets about you.
Right.
And your website gets lost to the metaverse. And the only way people will come to your website is if they magically know you exist and type in your URL.
Right. Right. So what it sounds like, how I make sense of that is I want to be writing content that is targeting my ideal customer, like the issues that they're dealing with. So if it's marriage issues, relationship, parenting, divorce, I want to be using all of those words, but I definitely want to do some SEO research to find out like what's trending, I guess, within those topics. So then I can take those keywords and put them into the blog article and hope that the Google, I love how you said the Google bots, they crawl over and they find you and then they rank you. Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
a joke. There are Google bots and they do crawl. Yeah. I know when I first heard that years ago, I was like, no, there's no spiders in my computer. Yes, they are. And they determine your success. So befriend them. But yeah, so you bring up a good point, keywords and phrases. So if you are, like I said, a marriage counselor, you want to be writing routine blogs and producing content that's about that niche. If you're a marriage counselor and you're talking about EMDR or PTSD, that's not really relevant to your target audience. So your blog should absolutely be intentional with respect to your ideal customer. So on that note, 2 tips that I want to offer to therapists. First of all, keywords everywhere. There's a lot of great SEO tools that you can use. A lot of them are expensive. I honestly think that keywords everywhere is such a great tool. It's definitely not super expensive. You pay for credit, so it's pay as you go, and you can use keywords everywhere as a web extension to research what keywords and phrases are trending, what's super competitive, and what might be less competitive, what might be in low-hanging fruit that you can capitalize on that keyword or phrase, build a whole blog around, and develop a content strategy for a really targeted editorial campaign that can help boost your SEO. So keywords everywhere, just Google it. It's a Chrome extension or a Firefox extension, very helpful. And then someone else I found, I don't know if we want to share this on the podcast, but there is a very small but mighty YouTube channel. She is she's a psychologist, and she has a YouTube channel. It's small, but it is mighty. And she basically walks therapists through how to launch a private practice, how to set up a website. And I'm a marketer, so I've been kind of doing this for the last 6 to 8 years. Her world is therapy, but she taught herself search engine optimization, and she did like a whole 10 video series specifically for how to learn SEO as a private practitioner therapist. So I thought that was amazing. So if people want to learn more about how to kind of take control of their SEO, you can always outsource this to an SEO person, but If they want to take ownership of that themselves. I thought this lady was, I watched her video. And I was like, yep, that's how you do SEO. And she's teaching it
That's
specifically
awesome.
for
Yeah.
therapists. So that's an amazing resource. And
Okay.
I thought it was interesting. She used keywords everywhere too.
Okay.
So
Well, that's really good to know. And you guys, by the time this is released, you can go to the show notes and we will have that link there for you. So even though she can't recall the name right now, we'll put it in the show
sorry.
notes. No, it's fine. No, everybody just go to the show notes and we'll have it in there for you.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
find
So yeah. And I have a friend, who's local to me, and he told me, I mean, this was like 2 years ago, he wanted to create a course on anger management because he was booking up. Like that's what he's known for. He would get referrals for anger management. And he got to a point where he had to have a wait list, and he thought, okay, well, how can I go ahead and offer these clients something that they're not my clients yet, like, but they need help now. So he went ahead and created a course on anger management,
Wow.
and through SEO and keyword research, I mean, I know he didn't do any advertising, and I don't even think he mentioned it on social media, knowing him. And he sold a bunch of the courses just by, knowing his SEO and knowing his keyword for
That's
that,
amazing.
what am I trying to say? For that training. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, wait, how did you do that? I was like, I've never even heard you mention this on social media. And he's like, yeah, it's just, I've been blogging, I've been doing my SEO, I've been optimizing my website. And he's like, yeah, I've sold a handful of them and I haven't really done anything to market that. And I was, wow.
I'm so glad you said that.
Hmm.
As a marketer, I get, like, social media is one of those things. It's like a bathroom. You need it in the house, but it's not where you walk in, right? So I feel like social media, I don't know. I did it for a job, so I'm kind of just burnt out on it. But
I hear
most
you.
women my age are all over Instagram. They're all over social media. I can't bear it. I deleted the app from my phone. As soon as I quit corporate America, I was like, bye, Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
But that's a good point that you mentioned that, because I think therapists think, oh, I have to
Hmm.
market myself. I know, let me get on social media. And I just think that is, yes, it's useful, it's necessary, have a welcome mat there, but don't pin all your hopes on
Right.
your social media, because it doesn't drive a lot of search engine optimization. It doesn't. And I think like actually doing on page search engine optimization through your content, it's just so much more of an effective way to market yourself and increase your web traffic. So I think SEO is 1,000 times more powerful than social media marketing. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because
Yeah.
SEO can do everything that social media cannot.
Try Therapy Notes, the #1 rated electronic health record system available today. With live telephone support 7 days a week, it's clear why Therapy Notes is rated 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot.com and Google. Therapy Notes makes billing, scheduling, note taking, and telehealth incredibly easy. And now, for all you prescribers out there, Therapy Notes is proudly introducing ePrescribe. And if you're coming from another electronic health record, Therapy Notes makes the transition quite simple, importing your demographic data free of charge so you can get going right away. So why not find out what more than 100,000 mental health professionals already know and try Therapy Notes for 2 months absolutely free. Just click on the link in the show notes or enter the promo code Lisa at therapynotes.com. Try it today with no strings attached and see why everyone is switching to Therapy Notes. Right. And I'll just back you up by saying that I'm over social media myself. Like I deleted Facebook off my phone. I'm about to take Instagram off my phone just because it's such a time suck. And it really, really takes away from my creativity and being able to come up with content for the podcast. And I agree with you. And I can, I share it in with everybody that I can, that, creating content through the podcast and then having people join my email list. Like that's how I sell my courses. It's not because of social media. It is so, so rare that I sell
Mm-hmm.
anything because of a post on Facebook or Instagram. It is so
Yeah.
rare. And I know that everybody out there who does listen to the show because they are interested in creating an additional stream of revenue, they think it's social media. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You have to build your email list. And how do you get people on your email list? Well, you have to create good content. And where are you going to create that content? It's like we're talking about. It's have a website, have really good information on your website. And if you are going to put some money and some, I think this is me personally, like just what I do is if you are going to spend time promoting it on social media, either pay for some type of ad, just do it. Like just throw a little money at it. You'll save your headaches. And then also Pinterest. Like I absolutely
Oh,
love
yeah.
Pinterest for growing my
Pinterest
email
is
list.
good.
And that's probably a whole other podcast episode, but don't
Yeah.
worry, you guys. We
No. Maybe we should do one on that because I have a
yeah,
lot of opinions about social media. Being that my background is in
yeah,
marketing, I will agree with what you said. The only social media that's really worth anything is Pinterest.
yeah,
Pinterest is so underrated. It
it
is
is.
powerful for driving web content. But all the other channels, it just depends on your target audience. Like if you're trying to reach a 13 or 14-year-old Gen Z and you do an Instagram ad, that's so sad because they're not on Instagram.
Right.
Like they're just not. So
Right. Oh
you
yeah.
have
But
to do it.
their moms are. I guess that's the good thing.
Yes,
Like their moms would
that's
be.
true.
Yeah.
That is true. Their
Yeah.
moms are there. That is true. But then that also affects your target audience. So is your target audience Gen Zers or is your
Right.
target audience the parents of Gen Zers?
Right. And one more thing about Pinterest, because I can't get enough of Pinterest, and I'm so glad you love it too,
I
is
do. It's
that
the only one I don't hate.
I love it because it's not social media. It's
Yeah.
not, it is a search engine. So when you get on Pinterest, you're not looking to connect with people and look at what they did for the day. You're looking to get answers to your problems.
Yeah.
So like don't count out Pinterest, y'all. It is
No. Pinterest
awesome.
is the only
Mhm.
one that matters. I honestly have just been burnt out with social media, so I've been taking a break. But now that I'm scaling my practice, if I were to invest in any social media, it would just be Pinterest. I just don't think the others are worth it.
Yeah, no,
I,
especially yeah, for what you do. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
I think going back to the topic of content, I think that a lot of therapists who are establishing a private practice and are trying to attract more ideal customers, they're trying to say, okay, I have this career that's also a calling. I want to be a therapist. I want to help people. I also want to be a professional about it. How do I grow this? How do I scale this? If I were to sit with them one on one, I would say this: focus on a good blog. It doesn't have to be long. Just do some keyword research or find someone who can help you do that and write one good blog. From that one good blog, you can do basically so much with it. If you have one blog, what you do, you pull one or two key sentences out of it, you make a cute little post about it. It won't take much effort because you've already written the blog. So you can pull one or two social media posts or a Pinterest post from that blog. And then if you just make a summary of the blog into like capture the whole blog summary in 2 or 3 sentences, that could be something you put out in a newsletter and then just link out to your website. Here, link, click here to read the rest of the article. So if you have one good blog that's maybe, I don't know, 800 to 1,000 words, and you put that on your website, you can repurpose that piece of content so many different ways. So I just think you can really maximize your marketing efforts by investing in a blog. If you're putting all your time, money, and effort into creating a beautiful social media post, it's going to get lost and forgotten within an hour. And
Yeah.
if you put it on your website, it's honestly, it's all not evergreen, but it's almost evergreen. It's definitely a quality more than quantity
Yeah.
type of situation.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like I I hope everyone listening is taking your words to heart because it's really not about having the prettiest Instagram feed or the best quotes or the most polarizing content out there. I mean, sure, it's going to get you attention, but I don't know if it's going to turn into what you want it to in down the road. What's going to really, you know, get you more clients is the good content and but the good content, the repurposing it, the SEO, keyword search, all that stuff. It's and also like I do think it is evergreen because as long as you keep it up there, it's possible for it to be found, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
definitely. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the mindset that you need to kind of tackle this. What would you say to our listeners who are like they're ready to dive in, but they have a little bit of maybe of imposter syndrome showing up?
Honestly, this is my favorite question because this is where I don't know. This is going to sound so silly, but this is where I, as a content marketing professional, get to kind of feel like a therapist because I'm giving advice. So this is a silly moment for me, but yeah. So to recap, if we follow this in a linear fashion, if the first reason why you want to invest in valuable content is to earn your future clients' trust. And if the second reason is to establish web domain authority and improve your SEO, the third reason is just simply good content is how you grow your brand. If you want to scale, you have to grow your brand. You have to stop seeing yourself as a person. Something I tell myself a lot is that people don't buy goods and services. They just don't. They buy the solutions that you offer and the stories that you tell. So you are not a person. I mean, you are, but like in this respect, you're not a person. You're not just a therapist. You are a brand. You are you're a solution. You are a story. And when you kind of remove yourself from that equation, think, oh, I'm not just a person. I'm not just a therapist. Like when you see yourself as a brand, then all of a sudden you do begin to change that mindset and get rid of the imposter syndrome, because a brand isn't an imposter. It's a helpful solution and it's a useful story that people need to hear. So elevating your brand by elevating your content, I think is key. And it allows you to position yourself. This is something I hear a lot of from therapists, is that, oh, the summer slump. So if you're a therapist, things are just super slow in the summertime. And that's awful. But being a private practitioner, you kind of do go through ups and downs. Sometimes it's super busy, sometimes it's not. Everyone got super burnt out in 2020, and now people are feeling healed and healthy and happy. So I'm imagining that a lot of therapists are currently feeling like, where'd everybody go? So if that's what you are experiencing right now, my advice to you would be to say, good content is a really great way to position yourself for diverse opportunities to scale your business. Because when you go through a slow season, you can leverage your web domain authority and you can leverage the quality content that you have, and you can apply to be a speaker. There's so many association meetings, local events. When I worked corporate, I was in charge of facilitating monthly lunch and learns where we had people come in and talk to everybody during the lunch hour. There's so many opportunities for you to get in front of a room full of people and be like, hey, here's something you might find very useful about mental health, and here's something we can all connect over. Like, you can use your website and your content to get speaking gigs, to position yourself as a source for important journalism. So I think when people think, oh, I just need to have a pretty website, like, no, that's not just investing in your website. That's you investing in your brand and positioning yourself to secure really unique opportunities to diversify your sources of income, diversify the way in which you provide value to people. And good content presents yourself as a subject matter expert. If someone goes to your website, what are they going to see about you? If they see nothing, then unfortunately they might assume that you know nothing. But if they go to your website and they think, oh, do we want to have this person come speak at our association meeting next month? Or do we want this person to come in and speak to our employees for some HR initiative about mental health in the workplace? They're going to go to your website. What are they going to find? If they find a whole bunch of really helpful, useful knowledge that you produce, that's like, here's how much of a content subject matter expert I am. Like, look at what I know. They're going to be so happy. They're going to open the doors for you, and you'll just walk in and share what you know. So I think it's just a really good way to scale yourself. And when you said, how do we get rid of imposter syndrome? There is no way to get rid of imposter syndrome. I mean, learn to live with it. That's how you get rid of imposter syndrome. You just do it anyway.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of suppressing anything, but let me tell you, I suppress imposter syndrome. I just ignore it. I'm not a good or a service. I am a brand. I am a story. I am a solution. And I think when people shift that mindset to say, I'm a brand, I'm a solution, I'm a story to be told, it's a lot easier to be compassionate towards that. So I think that's pretty important. And then just be like Nike and just do it. Just start, It doesn't have to be posting every single day. I would say if you're overwhelmed about it or trying to think, okay, how do I do this sustainably? I don't want to post once or twice a year. Just start small, 1 or 2 blogs a month, just 1 or 2 blogs a month. And just, if you can consistently do that, that's okay. Like, that's good. That's good enough to help your on-page SEO, which we didn't really talk about it earlier, but there's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. Off-page SEO is technical. On-page SEO is all about content optimization. So I don't know if that's important, but
yeah, no, I think it's good to know because I mean, I know what those things are, but the can you go over what those are?
Sure.
Before we end? Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to SEO. There's the technical side, and then there's the copy editing side. So they call that on page and off page. So off page has to do with back end, it has to do with metadata, it has to do with how Google is indexing your actual website, it has to do with just how user friendly your website is. On page SEO has a lot to do with like your headers, your tags, the keywords that you're using, and optimizing that. So on page SEO has to do with content optimization, and then off page SEO is more of the technical back end. But I did just recently write a blog that goes over this. So if people want to learn more about this, I do have a blog.
Yeah. So yes, please tell everybody what, excuse me, please tell us what your website is.
Sure. So I, after doing this for 2 years, realized I needed to kind of scale my business. So I recently launched my own website and recently launched my own blog. So I am a freelance copywriter, and I work for coaches and therapists and counselors, and I help them empower the world through SEO friendly content. So my clients are all therapists, psychologists, and counselors and coaches. And what that basically means is if you don't have time to write your own blog, if you don't feel confident in your skills as a writer, and if you don't know how to rewrite your service description so that it really compels people, I come in. You can outsource that if you choose to. And there's people like me, and I don't know how to talk about myself in this way, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. Tell us what your website is.
My website is alwaysrebekah.com. Okay. Always Rebekah, and Rebekah is spelled Rebekah. Alwaysrebekah.com.
Okay, so let's say someone is curious about how you can help them. So they want to do this, they want to get going, but they don't have the time really to do it because they're, busy therapists, but they know it's important. How can you help them?
Okay. So if this is something that you would like to invest in and you don't have the time or the energy or the capability to do it yourself, this is where I would suggest you consider outsourcing. There's a lot of really great freelance copywriters out there. We're kind of a very quiet niche. We're ghostwriters. We don't broadcast that to the world. It's a very discreet niche, and we're very confidential with our clients. So if you ever meet a ghostwriter who's not confidential, don't work with them. But I'm a very confidential ghostwriter. So my clients, this is what I do. I help therapists, counselors, coaches, and psychologists. They basically outsource a lot of their web content to me. They come to me, they say, I have a bio, I have a service description, I have 2 blogs. I don't like any of it. I don't think it's connecting with my target audience. Can you figure me out and make me sound good online? And I say, yes, I can do that. So
awesome.
I'll converse with them over email, or maybe we'll have a quick chat on the phone, and I'll get to know them. And that's honestly my superpower. If you talk to me, or if you send me an email and just tell me what you want. If you say, I'm a marriage counselor, I've been doing this for 5-10 years, I'm trying to scale my practice, but I'm struggling to do this. Here's what I'm really passionate about. Like, if you just tell me who you are, like, I know how to elevate it. You can tell me 5 things about yourself, and I'll okay, I know how to present you. I can capture your essence and make you sound really good online. So what I do is I really help people who haven't, they have a brand voice, but they haven't presented it yet. And gotcha. I help them figure out what their brand voice sounds like online. Mm-hmm. And then I speak for them. So I write, they say, I need a blog about 5 questions to ask before getting divorced, like what to consider before getting divorced, or what to tell someone who is having a panic attack, how to calm someone down from a panic attack, all these different type of blog topics. They just give me the topic. They might give me, I don't know, they might say, I want to take it from this angle, or they might just say, I need a topic about EMDR and complex PTSD. Okay. And I'll be like, okay, got it. So you can tell me as much or as little as you want. And I basically custom curate the content to whatever you need. I make it sound like you. I provide you with the article, and you just copy and paste it on your website.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I
love it. It is awesome.
Wow.
I love it too.
What a great service you have. I mean, really, really something. Well, I'm excited for our listeners to reach out and talk with you if this is something that they are wanting or needing. Maybe it's just time that, I guess something that I'm taking away from our conversation is that it really does come down to good content, and it comes down to SEO. It comes down to, having your stuff be found on the internet when people are looking for you and they're typing in therapist near me who helps with anxiety. I mean, really, that's the dream right there, is that, that's what they're typing in and you pop up right there, first page, or, marriage counseling in whatever your state is or your city. And you are right there. You are right there at the top. And so when they click on you and they see your, welcoming, warm, professional, site, and you have the right words and the right copy, they're making that consultation call right then, or they're scheduling their first session. They just know that you're the one for them. So I think
and even if that doesn't, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but even if that doesn't happen, even if they don't immediately convert in that moment,
right,
something very valuable has happened, even if it's unseen. When you meet your prospective client where they're at, there's a transference of trust. And that is so important, because before people will invest in the value that you offer, that you have to earn their trust. And so when you think about the state of mind that someone is in when they search for a therapist, most of the time they've had a very bad day. They've hit rock bottom or something. Maybe they're crying. It's the middle of the night. When people are searching for a therapist or a counselor or somebody or a coach, things are not going well typically. So when you meet them in that space and say, hey, I got you. Here's a whole blog on how to emotionally reground yourself. Here's something about how to meditate. Or when you meet them where they're at and you offer them a little bit of hope, they trust you. You've earned their trust. And maybe they're not ready to call and make that appointment, but maybe in 2 weeks they will be, and they'll remember you because you were there for them when they needed you. And you didn't even know it, but you were there because you invested in good content. And if I have the time, one quick thing I want to say is something someone told me once. I was telling someone what I did, and they're like, oh, but that's great, but I don't want to give away the secret sauce. Like, I want them to come to my counseling session so that I can, be in person with them and coach them on how to improve their life and like heal or whatever. Like, I don't want to just put all that on a blog. I was like, no. You're not giving away your value. You're meeting your clients where you're at and giving them the wisdom to hear the moment they need to hear it. And when you do that, you establish trust, and you can establish rapport long before they ever make that first appointment. So if anyone's worried about that, don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have to worry about that, because therapists, we know that, I mean, it's the power of therapy is in the relationship. So to me, that kind of question was like, look, how long have they been practicing? I mean,
their website is terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's like, to me, if anything, what you're saying makes perfect sense, because it is about the relationship. It is about building rapport. I mean, it is about building trust. So, I mean, gosh, if you can do that before they even talk to you, you've already, probably got somebody who will, when they're ready, make that call and come and work with you. So I think that is just brilliant. Thank you so much, Rebekah, for being here. I mean, gosh, I hope you guys will go and check her website out, alwaysrebekah.com. Click the link in the show notes. And thank you again for being here. This has just been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time and energy.
Oh, you're welcome. The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard is edited and engineered by Chelsea Weaver. If you're looking to start a podcast or ready to take the editing off of your plate, be sure to visit chelseaweaverpodcasting.com. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.